All right, and welcome back to All Things Art. My name is Eric. We are live, hopefully, and this is part 4 of the ongoing series of repainting the Sideshow Darkseid Maquette. So, as I explained in the beginning of every video, these are going to be longer, drawn-out videos. Each one's probably somewhere between 3 to 4 hours long. It's basically showcasing every single little step that goes into doing a repaint like this on one of these statues. This is a quarter scale statue by Sideshow Collectibles. This is the second one I am painting. If you want to see a shorter video, I think it's less than 20 minutes. I already painted one of these guys about 4 months ago. Excuse me. And it shows, basically it highlights everything that was done to the statue. Being I'm working on a second one now, I figured we'll do a live stream and just really show everything that goes into painting one of these. So, maybe you'll learn something, pick up some tips and tricks along the way. So, as far as the series go, part 1 was basically just blocking in the base coat colors, not the actual base of the statue. The base coat meaning like all the solid blues, all the solid grays. Part 2 was doing a lot of ink washing. So we did a lot of ink washing throughout the whole entire body. I did not ink wash the arms or the legs yet. Basically, the ink wash helps bring out the details. I used a black ink wash. It falls into all the little crevices and helps the details pop out, all the textures throughout the suit. Part 3 was also ink washing a little bit, but also starting to get into doing the shading and the highlighting, which is what you see on the chest, as well as his back. And then today is part 4. Last we left off with part 3, I was ink washing this loincloth area. So last night I spent, I think, 2 hours doing the boots as far as getting like the ink wash done. This way we're not doing ink washes every single video. So he's all set to go today to start doing the highlights and the shading, which is what I enjoy doing when painting mainly. So we're going to start this straight off, going right into doing the shading and the highlighting on his loincloth and hopefully into his boots today. This video is not going to be as long. This weekend I have plenty of time, so I'm looking to do maybe another 2 videos this weekend. We'll get into doing like the arms. We'll start ink washing the arms, which is really cool to see. How the ink travels throughout all the cracks, because the cracks are really deep on the arms and the legs. And that should be over the weekend. Probably like Saturday and Sunday, or at least just Sunday alone. I gotta see how my schedule plays out. But once all of the blue areas are done, which is hopefully during this live stream today, minus the portrait. I haven't done the blue yet on the portrait. I did do the gray. But once the blue section is done on this section of the statue, I mean, this is how he comes. This is one solid piece. Nothing else comes off at this point. I'm going to clear coat him. So the clear coating, one, helps protect the paint. The clear coating also helps tie all the colors in together. It really just brings it all together. All of the blending just kind of like ties all together, as I said. So that's another reason I went a little bit more high contrast with the shading and highlighting so far on the chest. As you can see, it's very vibrant and punchy, high contrast looking. Once he gets clear coated, some of that gets lost. So it's a good thing to remember when you're painting. You kind of want to do a little bit more higher contrast if that's the overall look that you're going for in the end, because once it gets hit with the clear coat, a lot of that gets lost, especially if you're using a glossier clear coat. Then it really, really gets lost, because the way the light reflects off of him, off of the clear coat, the eye doesn't pick up on everything. It kind of just reflects the light more. He'll be getting clear coated with flat, so he won't be losing as much detail as far as the shading or highlights go. But either way, I like to make it a little bit more contrast as I'm painting. This way I know once it gets clear coated, some of that will get lost towards the end. I still need to go back. This isn't finished yet. I still need to go back and do a little bit more weathering throughout the suit. But for the most part, the chest area is done and the back is done. I also ink washed the hand last night, so his hand is all set to go for shading and highlighting as well today. So I'm not going to waste too much time because I don't have too much time today. We're just going to get straight into it. I could probably just leave the head on. Just want to see how he looks overall. If you're new to the channel, like I said, my name is Eric. This is All Things Art. We focus on all things art. Mainly at the moment, I'm doing a lot of statue work. If you are already a subscriber, welcome back. Thanks for joining us again. And yeah, if you guys have any questions in the live chat as the stream is going, feel free to ask. If you want to discuss anything that's going on as far as the paint job is going, or any tools, or if you just want to discuss art or statues in general, feel free to leave a comment. If you're watching this on the replay, also feel free to leave a comment or a question, and I'll answer each one. So, all right, yeah. Not going to waste any much more time. We're going to mix up, basically, let's see. We're going to start with the loincloth. I'm going to start with the shading first. And for that, we're using, let me get you on frame here. Hold on. Get me off of frame. Well, that's too close. All right, that's good for now. Basically, for the, where are we? For the shading, I'm going in with night blue. And then for the highlights, I basically go back in with the base coat color, which is not on him at the moment because everything was ink washed. But the base coat color was this brighter magic blue. If you want to see all of that, check out part 1, 2, and 3. I take the base coat, I mix it with just a little bit of white, or in this case, I ended up using this sky gray color here because it almost is white at the moment. And it just gives me a little bit of a brighter shade of blue. And that will become the highlight color. So I'm going to mix up my batch of this midnight blue, or it's actually just night blue. Sometimes it's called midnight blue, I believe. And we'll get into the shading. I got my compressor set around 8%, or I should say 8 PSI. For doing like shading and highlighting, I like to keep the pressure very low. This way we get a nice slow stream coming out of the airbrush gun. And I can really just slowly work my way around and do some nice shading and highlights throughout him. So let me get him in frame and focused. We'll start, like I said, with the loincloth. Move you in closer. Should be good right there. And we'll mix up a batch of paint first, actually. All right, so for mixing my paint, I like to use these little shot cups or medicine cups. Get them at the dollar store. You'll notice he's not on the base anymore because I needed to ink wash the boots last night, and the base blocks a lot of his lower leg here. So he's currently on this foam block. Just a little, makeshift thing that I came up with to stand him up. But if foam doesn't work, you can make something out of wood, whatever you need. If you don't want to use like the base that the statue already previously comes on. So I do need to be a little bit more careful because he's he's sturdy for at the moment. I have a few things propped under his leg. This is some 3D printed katana blades and a paintbrush just to make him a little bit more stable, if you're wondering what the hell those things are. And yeah, I needed to ink wash back here last night, so he's on this temporary base for now. So let's get the darker blue mixed up. I'm just going to give my paint a good shake. I already shook it for the most part off camera for like a good minute or two. Let's see if anybody's in the chat. I'll quickly say hello. If I can find where my chat went to. Where's my chat? Restore chat. Okay, I don't think anybody's in the chat. All right. Yeah, if you're currently watching, or if you're watching the replay, hit the thumbs up and feel free to share. It helps the channel out. All right, so we got our midnight blue. Just gonna mix up a small batch for the time being. If I can find where my thinner went. I was moving things around last night. Okay. Here it is. Basically, my thinner is a combination of isopropyl alcohol, water, and glycol. Helps reduce the drying time. It's basically flow improver for my airbrush gun. So I'm going to mix this up a little bit thicker because I'm doing shading. I don't want it going on too watery and getting drips because I need to spray it pretty slow. So whenever I do like my shading or my highlighting, I tend to mix it a little thicker than I normally would if I'm just spraying a larger object. Set that there for now. This might be a little too thick. If you need tips on how to mix up thinner, I have a video already for that. Gives you tips and tricks on airbrush compressors, airbrush guns, and getting started, as well as my homemade concoction for thinner. It's called Everything You Need to Know About Getting Started with Airbrushing, I believe. And it's currently on the channel from a few months ago. All right, I'm going to start off with this. If it's too thick, I'll thin it down a little bit more. It's looking a little thick, but I need to see how it sprays because I'm using a lower PSI at the moment. So things kind of change with the mixture. Hey, what's up, JC Chan? Welcome back. Basically, going to be going straight into the highlights and shading today. So I did the ink wash off camera for the boots and the loincloth last night. Thomas Roan in the chat. This is my second Darkseid repaint. You can already see the first one. It's on my this YouTube account, painting him, as well as my Instagram or Facebook. You can see all the pictures. It's All Things Art on Facebook and It's All Things Art on Instagram. Welcome to the channel. JC Chan, if you're just starting out in painting, how much paint do you need to get? That's a good question. When I first started, I started off with cheaper paint. I basically just started off with I was almost tempted to grab this brush. Wrong brush, don't want to take that one. I started off with cheaper paint, like the craft hobby store paints. You get it for like $1 a bottle. There's nothing wrong with starting off with that, especially since it's cheaper. Let me see if I have any laying around. I'm sure I do somewhere. Yeah, that's on my video too. If you check out the everything you need to know about getting started with airbrushing, I also discuss the difference between the paints. Say something like your hobby store paint versus your Vallejo. This is more of a higher end paint. And you can see the difference. So a bottle like this cheap, craft paint is about $1. It used to be, I think, about 50 cents, or they might have raised it these days. I don't even know. I don't buy it too much. And then this smaller bottle, which is the better stuff, can run you anywhere from $4 to about $8, depending, where you go for it, a bottle. And you can see you get a lot more paint out of the cheaper stuff. The only difference is, and like I said in the how to get started video, is this smaller bottle, the better paint, the one that costs more money, has higher pigmentation, meaning that it actually covers better than the cheaper stuff. If I had to spray an object, it might take me 3 or 4 coats with the cheap stuff versus I can spray, 1 coat of this. So while you do get more out of the smaller bottle, in the long run, you're doing more coats. So it's probably really not getting that much more out of the bottle. But there's nothing wrong with using this. You do need to spray it a little bit more differently because it's not as pigmented. It kind of goes on a little bit more watery looking, so it's a little bit more experimenting with the thinner. This is a lot easier to spray straight out of the airbrush gun. And they also make ones that you can just dump it in the airbrush gun and it's all set to go. You basically don't even really need to thin it down. I find that's a waste of money. I rather, especially if I want to use my paintbrush, I don't want to be using airbrush, stuff that's too thin down. So I like buying the stuff that's a little bit more thicker and then thinning it myself. But I I mean, basically just start off with whatever you're working on. If you have a project that, you know, you want to work on, like say if it's like a Wolverine and he's yellow and brown, go out and pick up some yellows, some browns. It's always great to have neutral colors. You know, pick up some, you know, blacks and whites and grays. Yeah, and you know, start building your paint collection little by little. It does get expensive. I mean, I probably have anywhere between $500 to $1,000 invested in paint. I kind of like to get like every shade possible if I can, instead versus like mixing colors myself, just because I feel like it saves me time even if it is more money. Let me just test out the spray pattern here. Hey, what's up, Vengeance? Welcome back. Hoping not to go too long today. This weekend I'll have more time and we'll go a little bit longer. So that's my spray pattern currently. It's a little pixelated looking. It's spraying a lot of little dots everywhere. So I'm going to see how that goes. Let's see if I get closer. That might work. If not, I might have to thin down the paint a little bit more or turn up my compressor a little bit more. But we'll get started with that. It's basically what I used for his chest and it went okay. So the loincloth's going to be a little bit different than his chest because the loincloth doesn't have muscles everywhere. So we're going to work basically just highlighting and shading the folds in the fabric. Like, you know, there's large folds here, large folds there. I'm going to do a little bit of separation between the panels on him. And basically just probably keep it similar to the way I painted the first one around. All right, so let's go in and start the shading on him. Again, I don't mind if I get a little overspray, but I'm trying to reduce it as much as possible. Once all the blue is done, the gray will get retouched up again. I'll go over all the overspray on the gray, and then he's going to get clear coated and fully protected before I start the gray. Okay, so this isn't too bad. So I'm probably going to leave my mixture at this at the moment. The loincloth should go pretty quickly, so I'm just going to go very fast around and knock this out. So the boots are going to take a little bit longer. The boots have a lot of creases and folds in them, and a lot more details on the boots. So we're using like a midnight blue right now, and then the same way I did the chest, I'll probably come back and hit some areas with a little bit of black just to make them pop and stand out more. To bring out, let's get this side of the fold, but to bring out the panels, I'm basically just going to shade around like where the sculpt is over here, just to make the panels stand out. I feel like on the original paint job, a lot of that got lost. So that's the mission of this repaint, is to make the sculpt stand out more, which was what the main issue with this paint job was coming from the factory. I should probably even just use my finger. Let me get my gloves on so I can use my finger. See, I'm almost out of gloves. So actually I just use my finger sometimes for masking areas off. Okay. For in here, a lot of this got lost in the original paint job, so I'm just going to shade around, like where all the shading, you know, where all the shadows would be basically on him. Let that stand out a little bit more. Got the Nerdy Geek Life in the chat. What's up, my man? Saying awesome works. Thanks for sharing. Thanks for watching. Vengeance, yeah. Vengeance tonight is Rogues Gallery live. We're doing an auction show, so everybody's got some really cool stuff for sale. Definitely check that out. Okay, let's get this side here. Let me bring you in a little bit closer. There we go. It's probably not gonna look like much until I start doing the highlights. I got away with doing a lot of the shading with the ink wash on the loincloth. I also went a little darker on the boots. I don't know if anybody even picked up on that. Compared to his body, which is obviously highlighted at the moment, so it's going to look brighter, versus, you know, the loincloth and then going down to the boots. I went really, not really, but a little bit lighter on the boots because as he gets closer to the base is very dark. You know, it's a burnt apocalypse base. So I didn't want him looking this bright the way his chest is towards the boots. It would just look weird on the base with the base being so dark. You know, there's not much I can do with the base to brighten it up because it's supposed to look very dark and ashy and burnt looking. So visually to the eye, he gradually gets a little bit darker as he goes from head to toe. Also for these Omega symbols, I think on the last one I just left those the dark blue. For the Omega symbol on the belt, I make that like an orangey red color, kind of like to match his eyes. But we're kind of going back and forth whether we should make all the Omega symbols that reddish color, but I felt it might be a little too much. So I decided to keep these just a dark blue because he has them on his boots. He has them on these side panels here. There's one on his belt. So I thought it might look a little weird if you had too many of them. Okay. Speaking of rogues, this is the opening theme song. The song is called Addict, if anybody was ever wondering what the opening song is on Rogues. The song actually has words to it, but I think they took it off of YouTube. It referenced a lot of sex and drugs in the song. Alright, so he's got a lot of folds and creases on the back here. Paper here. Some of the words to the song. Okay. Yeah, JC Chan, have you ever heard the original to that song with the words on it? It's funny because we on the Batman statue channel, it's very positive and family friendly. But if you ever listen to the words to that song, it's the complete opposite. But Chris always plays the instrumental version. I always thought that was kind of funny though. Moving along. Basically, at the moment, getting underneath his belt. Helping bring out a little bit of the shading. This is the tricky part, is under this hand. I keep saying I wish this hand was removable. I'll probably save that for last because I gotta stick my head up under there and really try to see what's going on. Yeah, JC, try to look up the song. It's called Addict. I tried looking for it last night on YouTube, and like I said, I don't know if they took it down, or I couldn't find it. It's called Addict by Neffex. 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 He has a lot of songs that he does for like the YouTube audio library, which is basically what's on now. I can't run anything that's like, you know, where I'm going to get a copyright strike, so much as I would like to have my own music playing, whenever I'm recording, I gotta play what YouTube likes to comply with. Omega beam. Okay, it's looking good. few more spots, and I'll either go into the boots or just start the highlights on his loincloth. If I do that, I gotta clear out the gun pretty good though. Hey, what's up, George Moss? Welcome to the live stream. Just currently going around doing some shading, and in a few minutes, some highlights to this loincloth area. Already did the chest and his back. That's how he's looking so far. Got a little bit more to do in those areas as far as like the weathering goes and popping out those textures on his suit a little bit more. So once we get into the highlights, this will start looking more like the top area. So reading JC Chan's comment, yeah, I actually do want to highlight what you just said because I do notice that as well. So JC saying, is it just me or does his, what does that say? Belt and loincloth look misaligned to his upper torso? Or is how it should be with the pose? So even when I was like looking at this last night, figuring out where I wanted to shade and highlight, because it does get a little bit tricky. You know, just doing like panels like this. There's so many panels going on. Yeah, so basically his loincloth area is shifted on an angle like that. I don't know if that was an intentional. It's definitely intentional the way they sculpted it, because if you look on this fold right here, this fold right here is a lot larger than the mirrored image on this side. It's a little bit more tighter on this side, to where like these two panels are touching each other more closely to where it's more spread out here. Because I was going over it, like I said, trying to figure out where I wanted to drop my shadows. Yeah, it's definitely crooked. Same with the belt. The belt's on a like a slight angle, like going this way. I don't know if it needed that. I don't know if that was intentional. It's a little strange because he's. Let me zoom back out so everybody can kind of like see what's going on. I don't know if that's intentional because he's standing on, you know, his 2 feet. His feet are flat on the floor. I mean, he is kind of like, he does have an arch on his back. Let's see if I can get him sideways. He is arched backwards a little bit. So, I guess because of the angle of the way his back is, I guess that would, you know, he's kind of like leaned back this way and then this way. So he's like on this angle and then back. So I guess that would cause this area to kind of be more like that as well. So I would say it was definitely intentional. And I suppose it makes sense. But yeah, I noticed that as well. It's not something you pick up right away, so good eye on catching that. But yeah, it's definitely a little crooked. So I'll just give him a quick spin so you can see how he's looking so far. Go around, drop in those highlights. Just going to give another quick look through, make sure I didn't miss anything. Also, the paint's drying, so it's going to change a little bit. If I need to go back and make adjustments. Not really using that today. Alright, let me just make sure I got everything. Got this shade. Got that. Got that. Got around his belt. Got around here. I want to get the edges of these side panels. So we're going to darken these up a little bit. Alright, got in that area, we got the Omega symbol. Alright, we got in there. I get the back edge of this panel here. Are we still? Hey, take care, JC. If you're still listening, we'll be on Rogues Gallery live tonight, auction show, Chris's channel. Those are always fun to watch. It's always interesting to see what kind of deals you can get. Sometimes, you know, things go for high dollars, and sometimes things go for steals. Okay, all right, we got that panel. Still need to get under that arm. That's the tricky area. Let's see. Got all around here. We got under here. Got all the folds done. Got under his belt. We got along there. I didn't do here, but the ink wash. Oh, shit, my head. The ink wash is actually doing a nice job at the shadow already. But I want to drop in a little bit of paint because this has a little bit more of a purplish hue to it. Alright, I think the shading is pretty good, except for maybe behind his arm. Let me see if I can get in there real quick. I still got to do his arm. I'm going to do that probably most of it off camera because I got to stick my head up under there. So I'll worry about like doing the rest of the shading under here when I do the arm. It's no big deal. All right, let's keep things moving. Let's start the highlights on the loincloth. So let me swap out the paint real quick. I got to flush it good because I'm going from very dark to very bright. Yeah, Vengeance, the shading makes a huge difference. But as you can see, it's very time consuming. A lot of what these companies do is they just slap on like an ink wash, which is a very quick way of, you know, as you saw, it's a very easy way and quick way of shading and highlighting. You know, just a splash on some of the ink and then wipe it off. It pretty much captures everything for you. But to really go around and hit everything with the airbrush gun, it's time consuming. Which is what they didn't really do on this statue. I don't think I have any wipes in here. I gotta grab some wipes. Back in 2 seconds. I need some wipes to wipe out that cup. My PSI on the compressor is super low right now, so flushing out the cup is a little bit longer at the moment. Normally I have my compressor next to me. I usually just crank up the PSI and blast out the cleaner. But when I put paint in my airbrush gun, I don't really fill it, you know, too high up in the air. I rather keep the top clean so I don't have to clean as much, and then just pour more paint more often. It takes 2 seconds to pour a little bit more paint, but it takes, you know, sometimes a few more minutes if I have to clean the entire thing. Should be here until about noon today. Well, slightly before noon. That's when I gotta step out. if anybody wants to pop in and out of the stream. So, got a few more hours. Excuse me. Alright, so for the highlights, just wipe down. For the highlights, we're using, like I said, the base coat color. I don't know if it's going to focus. Let's see. There it goes. It's Vallejo, and this is Magic Blue. That was what was used for the base coat. And then I add a little bit of white to brighten it up a little bit. For the loincloth, because like I said, I want to keep things gradually getting darker as he gets towards the base. I don't know if I'm going to add a little bit white. I might just hit it with... I probably won't add as much white as I did on the chest. Because I want to subtly, slowly change how bright it goes from head to toe. Okay. So, grab my mixing cup. Basically whitening it up with the skin tone color, since it's almost like a whitish color to begin with. Should be able to get to his rock skin tones this weekend. That's when everything really starts to come to life, because you see everything, the two colors side by side between the gray and the blue colors. All right. That in my mix. Okay. Gonna start off just a few drops and work my way up. If I need more of the white, I'll add a little bit more white. Let's see what that does. Here's my thinner. Again, not using too much thinner because my PSI is extremely low right now. So I'm mixing this a little bit more thicker than I normally would. Like it's basically not even dripping off the brush, which is what I usually recommend. It's a little too blue. Let me get a little bit more white in there.
Someone to clean up and tame. Oh, some things never change, never change. You think I would look pretty on your own once you cover all my bruises and battle scars, but it always ends the same. Can't bear the things I've had to face. Got you crying, honey.
Look, it still needs to be a little bit brighter.
Some things never change, never change.
A little bit more.
I stopped asking for forgiveness, 'cause you should know only fools dread where the angels
There we go. That looks a lot better. Okay, that's looking closer to what I started off with on his chest and back. So let's go with that. Alright. Do a few test sprays. Probably be a little bit brighter, but I don't want it too bright. I think that might be good. I could always go back and brighten it up a drop. What to do? Let me try one little spot. See how it looks on the statue. I actually like the song. I'm leaving it. All right, let's go somewhere in the back. All right, so we're going in with the highlights. So I'm going to hit all the areas that are raised, basically the opposite of what we just did with the shading. So now we're hitting all the folds that are popping forward. So let me see how this goes on. That's the problem with doing this in sections. I normally wouldn't paint like this, but because I'm trying to keep things moving for YouTube, I am doing it in sections. Otherwise, I would have did the entire ink first of the entire statue, then did all the shading for the entire statue, or at least on him for the the body, and then I would have did the entire highlights on the entire statue. This way, everything stays a little bit more consistent. But I'm pretty good at matching paint, and like I said, I subtly want him to change darker as he gets to the base anyway. So as long as I don't get brighter towards the bottom with my mixtures, that's fine. But that's actually looking pretty good right there. So I think I'm going to stay with that. So this is where everything should start really popping and coming to life. So let's go around and do the highlights. Okay. We'll do all the folds first, and then I'll worry about like all these armored panels. So those are a little bit more trickier to decide where I want the highlights to be. It's looking good, actually. I'm pretty happy with this shade of blue. So he's got one really big fold right here. So we're going to hit that with the highlight. Like so. This is a panel. We'll come back to the panel. Working our way over. We have that mirrored fold that we were talking about earlier. This one's actually a little bit smaller as it gets to the top. Now this statue was sculpted by Martin Canale. He's pretty good at what he does. I'm pretty sure whatever he decided to do was intentional. Okay. Again, all the paint dries a little bit darker as time goes on. Just gonna feather it out a little bit more. Okay. All right, I would say that's all the folds. So we can start adjusting the panels. All right, so for the panels, I was looking at some references to see what I did on the first one. Let's see. Definitely going to hit the front section here. I don't want to go overboard though. I don't want to look like a big, giant pointed arrow on him. It almost does look like the shape of an arrow. So we're going to do just the edges on the bottom ones. It's another reason why I have my PSI really low. I think I just ran out. Oh, let's see, where's my paper? Because it really sprays really slow and creates, like I said, this. Yeah. See if I can get it on camera. It's creating like this. Yeah, you can even see it over here. It almost looks like overspray, like that dotted pattern. So on the statue, it really fans out nicely when I'm blending. Okay. Did that one already. It's already drying a little bit darker compared to the chest, so I might have to brighten it just a drop. I'm gonna wait a few more minutes and just see how it dries. Let me pull back, see how it looks on camera. Oh, backwards. There we go. Let's see. You gotta also keep in mind, like I said, he doesn't have muscles everywhere. I could probably go a shade brighter. I haven't done the side panels yet. Yeah, we need to go slightly brighter, just a shade. So going to add a drop more of my white into the mix. It's actually probably good that it worked out that way, because I don't want, like I said, I don't want the loincloth to look too crazy the way the muscles do up top. So having the two different shades of highlights is fine. I'll just probably go in certain areas and make it just a little bit brighter. We'll see. This is looking pretty bright on my cup right now. You see on the paper. That is definitely a shade brighter. Let's see how it is on the statue. Start with the back again. Okay, yeah, I think that's going to work better. Yeah, I can already see on camera that's matching a lot better. It's weird, sometimes things look different on camera. Sometimes I'll paint something, and to me it looks good in person, but then I go to take photos and I notice certain things are off. It's crazy how the camera captures things that I guess the naked eye doesn't see. Yeah, it looks better on camera. It's also still got to dry. As it dries, it gets a little bit darker. Yeah, that looks better. Alright, let's do these side panels here. Just going to lightly mist them a little bit brighter. And I think what I did was I came off on the edges and fanned it inwards. Kind of looked like the edges are a little bit brighter. Mainly just focusing on the middle. There we go. There's a sculpt. I don't know if you can see it on camera. He's got like lines sculpted into the panels. So I'm just doing the middle one. And then for the other ones, I'll fan them out from the edges. Okay. So anytime you're doing like fading and you want to feather something out, you want to spray the angle in which you want it to fade off on. So if I want to have like this fade effect going from, to where it's more solid here and then more dotted looking here, you want to literally come with your airbrush gun and shoot it that way. You don't want to spray straight on and try to fan it off like that. You'll get a more natural pattern if you follow the angle that you're trying to spray. So for example, if I wanted to fan this out, I'm going to come from this angle. I'm not going to shoot straight on and try to blend it that way. Alright, that panel's looking pretty good. Same thing for down here. I'm going to fan it upwards because I just want to capture the edges only. So I'm going to go work my way around, just angle the brush around that piece. There we go. Just like that. Okay. I'm going to leave a few in the back, just the way they are. I'm not even going to highlight them. So I want them to look further back. Just give them a look over, and I think I still got to do this panel. Start doing the boots. What time is it? 10:20. So, I'm gonna go a little slow. I want the two panels to look consistent because we got a little, mirror imaging going on here. Want everything to look consistent. Although he has battle damage, so if it wasn't absolutely perfect, it's no big deal. One of the panels could look a lot, I personally wouldn't make it too much of a difference, but okay. Let's zoom out, see how that's looking so far. I'd say that's matching up nicely with the upper half. It's a little bit more brighter on the top, which is fine. Which is I said I want it to slowly, gradually get darker. I might, like I said, hit a few more areas a little bit brighter. I gotta see how this dries, but you can see the difference between shading and highlighting, and then just doing like an ink wash. So just the boots were ink washed, which still looks pretty cool. And we'll eventually go back and do a little bit more inking. I'll do it off camera on the top half just to bring out the details again and tone things down just a drop overall. This way the contrast isn't too stark between the two shades of blue. There'll be like a medium balance between what's going on with the boots and this top half right now. Just deciding if I want to go a shade brighter or not. I can always make that decision later, you know what, since I still got to do the boots, so let's get into the boots at least. And then, I mean, it's not going to dry brighter. If anything, it's going to get darker, but I want time to think it over if I want to go back and make the loincloth any brighter. We'll kind of see how it looks with the boots. I need to see the overall picture. Like I said, normally if I was painting this, I would do each step all at once. I would do the ink all at once on the entire body, then do the shading all at once on the entire body, and then do the highlights all at once on the entire body. And mix up a mixture and store it in a, you know, in a container with a lid on it. This way my mixture stays consistent throughout the paint job. But I have no problem making adjustments if I have to make things a shade brighter. It's not the end of the world. Okay. Alright, so what I said, we're going to go into the boots. You know, I might even decide to tone down the chest and the back, so we'll see what happens. I'm just going to leave the loincloth for now. Actually, I like the way the loincloth looks, but it could be that his muscles, like I said, the muscles stick out a little bit more on top, so it's kind of catching the light a little bit more compared to his lower half. So I might have to balance the two out. This way it looks a little bit more natural. Actually, you know what? I'm going against everything I just said. Going a shade brighter, just in a few areas. It's only going to get darker, so. And then once I, like I was saying in the beginning of the video, once it gets clear coated, a lot of that gets lost. So I'd rather do it now. But yeah, once I clear coat them and like lock everything in, I could also go back and add more highlights or shading. I feel like I need to fix something. Hey, what's up, Eddie? Yeah, thanks. I'm trying to balance it out as much as I can. I'm working in sections, which I normally don't usually do. What I should be doing is making a larger batch and just storing it once I do get the color I want. It's alright. It'll just look even cooler with all the different shades going on. We'll have a few different shades of highlights. Okay. Let's see how it looks on camera. It's usually how I can tell the best. On camera, it's not too bad. I think the balance is pretty good on camera between the top and the bottom right now. Let's see. Looks different as the light hits it. Let's see. I'd say it's close. Again, those muscles are going to pop more because they're smaller and bulkier. So those are going to catch the light. and make them look brighter. I'm just going to hit a few areas on the loincloth, just a tad brighter. I also still need to go back in with a little bit of black in certain areas. So that'll also make things pop a little bit more. There we go. That's better. All right, I like that. All right, I like that better. Again, this is the top half was done a day or two ago, so that's a little bit darker. Paint's gonna dry a little darker overnight. So I would say it's matching at the moment, and then this should dry just a hair darker, which is what I want. I want it to slowly fade down as it gets to the base. I want them to slightly get darker and darker and darker, very gradually. I just looked at it from the camera again, because that's how I could tell. Oh, I don't go that close. Let me pull them back. Yeah, on camera that's on camera it's matching pretty good. Okay, I'm happy with where that is right now. Like I said, it's a little trickier with the loincloth because he doesn't have, you know, the muscles. He does have the fabric folds, but I didn't want to like everything to look just like too solid looking because he has a lot of cool things going on with the panels, as you can see now. He's got all the, you know, like the sculpt is really cool on the loincloth, and that kind of got lost on the original Sideshow factory paint. So shading really helps bring out all those different panels that are going on. Like down here is leather, and then he's got all these different, I guess I don't know if they'd be metallic or whatever, you know, armored panels. So I like that. All right, from here, the hand is somewhat interesting. I think I want to start the boots though. So do I want to do the hand or do I want to do the boot? I'll probably have enough time just to do one boot. So maybe I'll do the hand off camera. And let's start the boot. And I'm actually going to save my little mixture of highlight that I already have right here. Off to the side, there's not much left in the cup, but should hopefully get me through. Now I'll mix a new batch because I want the boots to be consistent. When I do the boots, I'm going to mix one big batch of the highlight. I don't want the boot and boot to be different. I don't mind if it gradually gets different as he gets, you know, closer to the base, but you definitely don't want these two looking too different. So I'll mix up one large batch and make sure these two are exactly consistent with the highlights. The shading straight out of the bottle. There's no mixing with the shading. That's why I try to use colors straight out of the bottle. I don't have to worry about the mixture ratios. Before I go to store paint away, if I leave it out in a cup like this without putting a lid on it, I just drop a little bit of thinner, extra thinner. Keeps it a little bit fresher, like another hour, as the alcohol evaporates inside of it. So that off to the side. I still have a little blue left in here of the darker blue. So let's mix that up and get into the boot. I gotta flush out my brush first. Actually, I still have a little bit left in here. I'm gonna pour it back into my cup, which usually makes a mess, but I'll just wipe it down. Here's my wipes. I thought I had one already. What did I do with it? Where did I put that? Oh, there it is. Okay, I should wipe this down. After each session, I always break down my airbrush gun completely. You don't have to. You know, you could just flush out the ball. I like to break everything down. Every time I begin airbrushing again, I like to start fresh, so I completely wipe everything down. Before I begin the boots, I'll give you an up close look at the loincloth. So you can see everything that went on, because it's kind of hard to see from far away, even when I zoom in. The way the way the light reflects off of it. I don't have to go too crazy cleaning this because I'm going from light to dark. Let me quickly pull you guys off the stand, and I'll show you up close between the ink wash on the panels how everything's looking. So you can see I still got, it's going to show up on camera, still got all the, the weathering in the crevices from the ink wash. It's a little bit better in person. It's hard to see. I could drop the light a shade darker in here. Hold on. The actual lighting. Let's lower the actual lights. There we go. Maybe that'll help. Let's go a little bit darker. So, still got all the little crevices from the ink wash. You can see it really good in there. All the crevices are still nice and dark with the ink wash. All those spots, that's all from doing the ink wash. Just to help bring out the details. Like all those little speckles. That's from the ink wash. So that's how that's looking. And like I said, once it gets clear coated, kind of brings it all together. So it's going to look different once it gets clear coated. Alright, what was I doing? I forgot. I think I was doing something with the boot. I was flushing the airbrush gun. Alright. Let me get a new cup. This is starting to get a little bit dry. My little shot cups. So going back in with the shading for the boots. And we'll start shading the boots. I probably won't have time to highlight the boots today, so that's probably going to take a while. Trying to match. Took me a little bit long to mix up that batch of the highlight to match everything else. So I don't know. We'll see how quick I go. If I just focus on what I'm doing, I can go a lot quicker. So again, when I mix up my shading and my highlights, I mean, maybe not all the time, but for this piece, I'm mixing it a little bit thicker. It gives me a little bit more of a dotted spray pattern in certain areas, which I like to use for fading. It's not like a very smooth fade. Well, it's smooth, but I kind of like the textured spray pattern. It's an old spray paint trick for shading. So So it's kind of my style, I suppose. Okay. Let's do a quick test spray. So I'll just quickly show you what I'm talking about. If it shows up on camera. So I kind of get like this speckled effect if I'm spraying from further away, which blends nicely into the paint. It's probably not showing up though. And if I do want to get more solid, you know, in the actual crevice, I could just hold the airbrush gun there a little bit longer. But when I go to feather it out, it creates like a speckled, textured effect. So that's what I'm doing on this guy, as far as like the shading goes. And then when I come back with the highlights, those two areas of speckles kind of combine and join, form into one. Alrighty. Let's get shading. So lots of folds and crevices on the boots here. Let's drop this down. Yeah, that looks better. Okay. See better what's going on. There we go. Okay. So I'm just going to do my thing and power through this quickly because I've been wasting a lot of time. I think with the boots, especially because this is going to get gunmetal on the bottom. I was looking at pictures of what I did with the first one last night. I actually used a lot of black on the boots instead of the dark blue. So we'll see how this goes. Might come back with black in certain spots once I do the gunmetal. So like, yeah, the boots aren't going to get too many highlights. So I don't want them to look too crazy. They got a lot of folds going on. So mostly let the shading do all the work. A lot of this is going to get covered up with the weathering anyway. The boots, I do a lot of weathering with like dirt effects. So that's how it's looking so far with just the shading. It's got to dry up a little bit. Still a little wet looking right now. So when we come back, I'm not going to hit it with the highlights because then it gets a little too stripy looking. I'll probably come back with a little bit of the base coat and hit everything all at once just to blend it a little bit. So it's a little bit of a different technique. As far as the panels, because he does have panels on the boot too, it's just not all folds and leather. Treating each section the way it wraps around the leg, kind of curves this way. So I already last night with the ink wash, as I was spraying it, left this a little bit brighter right there, and I'll do the same thing when I shade it. I'm going to shade it from the sides, from that side, and then it'll have a slight highlight right there. The way basically the light's hitting it right now on camera. Back here, make this darker. You can actually do that now. with the shading. Coming out a little weird there. Okay. I'm just going to do a really light mist, like I just said, coming off the sides. So I'm just going to angle the gun. Actually, come further back, because I don't want it. I want it very subtle. Okay. Do the same from the other side. So I got shoot from this angle on my righty. Okay. Let's bring in some of that. Because the shading has a little bit of a purplish tint, so I just want to bring that into some areas. And I'm not doing all the panels because I want a separation with the panels again, to where it looks slightly different between the different blues. So here and there, like the top, I'm leaving alone. I'm not doing anything to the top. Top will just stay just the way it is. See what else could we do? I'll save the inside for later because you're not going to see that on camera anyway. I got to stick my head up in there. Do the front here. Move this camera. Let's see. What's this one? Can't go up there. Sorry, I'm just trying to pull this camera out of the way. No, can't do that either. Okay. It's a weird angle for me to shoot with the camera in the way. I have to go from there. Any closer to the camera, I can't. I'm at the wrong angle. It's the best I can get. So here's that other Omega symbol. Hey, what's up, Ronaldo? Thanks, man. Not gonna do too much to the shin guard piece that pops up, knee guard, whatever it is. That'll get a little bit of highlight around the edges. But as far as shading, not really doing too much to it. Let's see what else can we do right now. Alright, I gotta get actually going soon here. I want to start highlighting this real quick. I guess I could highlight it really quick. Even though I said I wasn't going to do it. I have to mix up a larger batch though and save it for the other side of his boot. Actually, no, I can't highlight it yet because I got to finish the inside of the boot. Let's see. Just trying to think what I want to do here. I wanted to get the highlighting done, but a lot of the shading probably needs to be done off camera on the inside here. Let's see. Let me see how quick I can shade this on the inside. I might be off camera for a little bit. We're actually on camera more a little bit because I need to get my body up in there to see everything. And then I'll pull back out and get back to the highlighting if I have time. Since you can't really see too much of what's going on anyway, I'll just pan back out and so you can just see the whole statue. For anybody that's tuning in, wants to see what's going on. It's basically working on the boots right now. Finished up the highlight and the shading on his loincloth today. Haven't done the hand yet on the back. Still needs to get shaded and highlighted. But that's how he's looking so far. Alright, I think, let's actually, no, I got one more spot. I think I got time to do the highlights on at least this boot. Alright. I'm out of paint in the gun anyway. Let me quickly flush this out and I still have some of the highlight color left. Let's do the highlights real quick. Actually, wait, what time is it? I gotta leave here. No, I do have time. What am I saying? I got a little time left. I'll do the highlights anyway, just for now. This way I get through one boot. The other boot's the same thing. It's the same exact boot, pretty much. I'll do the other boot off camera. And then this weekend, so basically once these boots are done, this solid piece of statue, so he's all one piece, except for the portrait that I have on him right now. I'll go around and I'll touch up the overspray on the gray areas. He'll get completely clear coated, and then you can start the ink wash on the gray areas, and then go in and shade and highlight the gray areas. So once I finish these boots, we can lock them in with some clear coat. Let's see how this does.
Are you scared?
probably gonna be a little bit too bright, but let me see. Just gonna go around really lightly because I know this is already very bright, and I'm just gonna not do as many coats. The more coats I do, the brighter it gets. So. All right, so we can come back in. Sorry. All right. It's got a lot of folds. So I'll just come in like, if you can see on my hand, just really light. The more coats I do, the brighter it's going to get. So I could also adjust the color just by not doing as many coats. So we'll adjust things that way for now. If it's looking too bright, I'll tone it down a little bit. It's like I said, I don't want the boots that bright. So first highlight. Okay. Let those areas dry up a little bit. I'm just going to drop a little highlight right here from far away. Just like that. This is where it really starts to look cool because between the purplish darker blue and then the sky blue kind of gives them like this futuristic metallic look without using metallics. Trying to think if I want to hit it from up here. Just a little bit. Okay. Alright, I think I'm gonna let that dry up a little bit. Just want to capture the folds. I don't want to brighten them up too much. They'll on camera they're looking really bright. They'll darken down a little bit as it dries. So let me pan out real quick. I think the yeah, there you go. The camera, the color balance on the camera is a little messed up too when I was zoomed in. It was looking a little strange there. So let me pull out this way. My phone balances back out on video here. Just to see what's going on. Still gotta play around with it a little bit, but for the most part, I'm probably gonna stop here because I'm gonna start going into the other boot, and it's pretty much the same process. And then, like I said, let me come in. Oh, just tipped it over. All right, so basically, we on camera. All right, so basically, this was part 4 of the series. Today we did the loincloth. As far as like shading and highlights go, I think, yeah. Part 3, we did the ink wash on the loincloth. The boots, I did the ink wash off camera. Same way I'll do the other boot off camera with the highlights and the shading. This way you're not watching the same thing over and over again. It's pretty much the same thing. I mean, he's, we're just basically working with blues right now. It's, it's not a million different colors on this guy. It's a pretty simple color palette. So I'm going to let this dry up a little bit. make any adjustments that I got to make overall at the end, just to tie the 3 sections together. I also need to see how he's going to look on the base, and then I'll go back in and tie everything together and make sure he looks okay on the base. And you know, make any slight tweaks that I need to make at the end. But for now, he's looking pretty good. I'm happy with the loincloth. I'm happy up here. The boots need a little bit more work. I want to adjust the colors on the boot, so I'm going to do that off camera so I could just really focus and get my head in there and you know, concentrate on what I'm doing. But I think from behind he's okay on the boot. I want to fix up the front a little bit. From here it looks okay too. I want to balance things out a little bit more. I gotta fix this. This is looking too turquoise to me. So I'm gonna adjust this a little bit. I left the boots a little bit darker, so it's kind of altering the highlight color a little bit. So I gotta take that into account. I gotta mix up my highlight batch a little bit different. So I'm gonna fix that. I'll probably just actually come back with the color I used to shade it a little bit, or just straight up magic again, which was the base coat color. But anyway, I want to wrap things up for today. Thanks for watching part 4 of the series. Part 5 and maybe part 5 and 6 will be this weekend. Like I said, I'm going to clean up the gray areas with all this overspray. Then I'm going to clear coat them and lock everything in. And then we can begin the ink wash on the gray areas, because I want that clear coated first when I do the ink wash, and then we can start doing the shading and highlighting on the gray colors. So be something a little bit change of pace, something a little bit different than just working every single day with these blue shades here. So if you watched it live, thanks for joining me today. If you're watching it on the replay and you have any questions, feel free to leave a comment. Please like, comment, subscribe to the channel. It helps promote it, helps get my name out there. What else? I already painted one of these. He's already on my YouTube channel from a few months ago. He's also on Instagram and Facebook. It's All Things Art. That's my channel's handle name on Instagram as well as Facebook. The link is in the description to the video. So you just go to the video title, click on more, and it'll give you the links. And you can find all the pictures of this one already painted up, all done on Instagram as well as Facebook, if you want to check them out ahead of time to see where this is all going. So, again, guys, have a great day, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care.